Hey, it's Jeff Dyson with Director Showcase, and I am here speaking with Brian Stith of Sound Projections, the makers of the Sound Machine portable sound system. Brian, thanks so much for joining me today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
Now, I know that the Sound Machine is the Mac Daddy of all the portable sound systems. Go ahead and just give everyone sort of an overview of who would use this product, the size of the crowds, where you'd use it, that sort of thing. We'll just kind of jump in from there.
Sure, no problem. Sound Machine's a great item. It's probably one of the loudest systems out there on the market as far as a full-range sound system goes. It can get anywhere from 115 to 125 decibels. What is a decibel? Well, it's probably easier to describe it this way. In human hearing, we perceive 10 decibels as being twice as loud. So if you hear something at 80 dB and it goes to 90 dB, that's basically double the volume. So when you're looking at a sound system of any sort, don't necessarily look at the wattage as much as how much sound does it put out. If it's only putting out 95 decibels and we're putting out 115, we're basically 4 times louder than that sound system is, no matter what the amplification is. So it's very important to think about those kind of things. Sound Machine's a perfect outdoor unit. It's perfect for marching bands or anything outdoors. It does work great indoors. I've used it a lot for gymnasiums, multi-use rooms, things like that. So it's a very multifaceted type of a system. It has a built-in wireless system, which is the Shure PGX wireless. Now that's the 90-channel agile wireless, which also is great. So if you get interference for any reason whatsoever, you quickly change the channel and you're back up and running again within, 10 or 15 seconds. It also has external antennas. This is very important, especially if you're a marching band or somebody that's going to be a distance away from the system. The external antennas allow us to get anywhere from 350 to 400 feet away in an open field. As you get interference, let's say water, which means bodies, so if you have kids on the field, we're mostly water. If you have kids on the field, that's going to shorten that distance of transmission up if you're out there on the field, let's say with a wireless headset or a metronome or something to that effect, and maybe that cuts the distance in half. Well, we're still allowing you to get anywhere from 150 to 200 feet away from the system and still making that same transmission.
And now I see on the back of the unit that it has the two systems that are built in. Can you get that with one, or does it come standard with two?
No, the options there, we have 2 wirelesses and a CD player. Those are all what we would consider options. I highly recommend getting at least 1 wireless. It kind of defeats the purpose of having a portable system and not being able to have a wireless unit out there. Same with the CD player. Inevitably, if you don't put a CD in, the very first thing you're going to want to do is play music. The second wireless is one of those options where maybe a small school with 1 director, hey, save the money. You don't necessarily need that second wireless. Larger school, maybe you want 2 directors on headsets, or maybe you do want to put that metronome, you're a director that goes out on the field and you want to be able to turn the metronome on and off. We can make the metronome a wireless transmission. So that would be what the second wireless would be for. Not a requirement, but I always recommend getting at least 1 wireless to make it working for the portable sound that you've got it used for.
And you made a mention of the CD player on the back of the unit, which I also understand is the CD or MP3 player off of a disc. You even have the USB port for the music off of your thumb drive?
That's correct. Yeah, it does not plug into the cable with an iPod. It is used for a thumb drive. So what I always do is create folders on a thumb drive, maybe call it rehearsal folder, band folder, whatever you want to call them. And then I take the MP3 music from my computer and just load them up onto those folders and load those folders onto my thumb drive. When you plug the thumb drive into the system, the display will tell you how many folders there are, and as you search through the folders, it'll read the names of each one to find the one that you want. When you open that folder up and you press play, you start playing the music in that folder. The way they set it up is it's based upon the time code. So if you want the music to play in a particular order, you just put the music into that folder in the order that you want it to play.
Excellent. Okay, let's move right down the back of the unit here. I see we've got the talk-over switch.
Yeah, talk-over switch is a great little device. If you don't have it engaged, if you leave it disengaged, that would be something if you're doing a karaoke or if you're singing the national anthem, you could have the music playing and singing with it at the same time. If you're a PE coach, maybe you're using it for aerobics instructions, that kind of thing. With the talk-over feature, though, it's very nice. If you engage it, Then, when you're playing the music and you begin to speak, it automatically ducks out the music, so you really don't hear it anymore, and all you hear is your spoken word. This is great for maybe a principal that's using a walkathon or something where they've got music playing. They start talking, they're 200 feet away, music drops out, they make their announcement, music comes back on. It's also really good for marching band directors where maybe you've got a recording of the kids' music that they're learning how to march out on the field to. Well, rather than doing just the metronome, you can actually play the music back, but if you need to make an announcement during that time and you begin talking, the music drops out. So now you can make your announcement, you stop talking, the music rolls back up again. So it's a very nice feature to have.
Very nice. Now, I also see we have the wireless mic gain volume there, which is pretty self-explanatory. Also, the 3-band equalizer, which is something that you typically don't see in any sort of portable sound system, but the Sound Machine has it, which is a really nice feature. And then there's the loudness button or the normal. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, 3-band EQ is quite simply put high, mid, low, and that will give you to adjust to maybe take some of the bass down or add some of the high frequencies if you need to. What's really nice is what we offer is the voice switch, and it's the normal loud switch. In the normal position, the Sound Machine, again, we talked about 115 dB. In the loud position, it adds 6 decibels to the horn itself, thus adding brightness and clarity of sound for the spoken word especially, and that actually will kick it up to about 125 dB, give or take. What that does is really projects the sound. If you're having to go with a marching band and you're trying to project over the music being played, they can hear you. If you're using this, let's say for a soloist, you can mic up a saxophone, and during your performance, that soloist would be playing through the sound system face towards the crowd. Having it in the loud mode breaks through the noise of the crowd and helps to compete with the band being played. So that loud switch is very important to get that extra decibel level for the overall sound of the unit.
And now you talk about adding an instrumentalist or even another vocalist, whether it's if you don't have, if you need a third input on here. You've got the mic inputs there, some line inputs, both for the XLR quarter-inch, and I also see some RCA. Tell us more about those.
Well, the balanced mic input's pretty straightforward. Those are for standard microphones, SM58s. Basically, probably any microphone a school has in the system at the school can plug into those 2 channels. The third channel is a little different. It's a line input. And the reason we created that as a line level input, it doesn't have the preamp for the microphone. But as you notice, there's an XLR output of our system also. Many schools will end up using multiples of these for any particular reason. You can connect one to another using just a standard microphone cable out of one into that channel 3 of the other, and then setting the volumes accordingly. Then there's the quarter-inch input. That would be if you have a keyboard you want to plug into it, or maybe an electric guitar or something, you could do that. The RCA inputs would allow you to plug in, let's say, your iPod. You have an 1/8-inch jack on one end, plugs to your headphone output of your iPod or any MP3 player, directly into the RCA inputs of this unit. Or maybe you have a secondary old tape deck or something you wanted to play something with. Again, that's what the RCA inputs are for.
And then obviously there you had already talked about the line outputs so that you can pretty much daisy chain multiple units together to have basically create an entire system. Absolutely. And there's one other piece on here that that we don't have pictured, but you had mentioned to me earlier, an external speak-on type speaker cable. Go ahead and tell us a little bit more about that and what that's used for.
Sure. The speak-on connection is a special type of a speaker cable. And the reason for that is we actually have a biamped sound system. It's a 200-watt biamp. It means there's an amplifier driving the woofer and an amplifier driving the horn. Again, we do this for the clarity of sound. The cleaner, the clearer the sound, the better it projects, the better people understand what's going on. But because it's biamped, it means you need 4 speaker wires to go from the main unit to our companion speaker, which is also designed to be biamped. So it does take a special type of a 4-conductor cable to connect to our companion speaker. Each Sound Machine can connect up to 1 companion speaker at a time.
Okay, and the companion speakers, those aren't powered, those are just standalone units that are basically you would connect the main unit, the main powered Sound Machine to.
That is correct. Our feeling is sometimes people say, gee, I wish I had a wired sound. Do you have a wireless companion speaker? The answer to that is kind of yes, But basically what you're doing is buying a secondary sound system. You still need the amplifier, you still need the battery, you still need the wireless, but in doing so, there's a lot of features and variations that you can do to add multiple sound systems together, doing it that way.
Excellent. Well, just jumping back to the microphones, because that was something that I kind of passed earlier, was the options that you would have with the microphones. You've obviously got the handheld, you've got the headset, and the lav microphone that you can use as any of the three options for your selections with the wireless.
That's correct. Yeah, you just tell them which transmitter you would like to have with the system, and we include that. I don't necessarily like recommending the lapel microphone too often, because the lapel mic is a little further away from your voice. You notice I have this funny little headset on, and that's to keep the microphone as close to my mouth as possible for a nice clean sound. If I was to take this headset and drop it to my chest like a lapel mic, it would require more sound. In other words, you'd have to turn the volume up. Well, turning the volume up adds noise. Feedback is the microphone hearing itself. So if you're near the sound system and the volume's turned up, you have a higher risk of feedback. So if you're using a belt pack, I usually recommend the headset. It may not look the prettiest, but it's definitely going to give you the most amount of sound without feedback.
Excellent. Well, Brian, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. Information was very informative. Appreciate it.
Sure, no problem. Anytime.